On behalf of our own government, as I said, I'm very much delighted to congratulate UNEP and also the government of Thailand for this inauguration of the first adaptation forum for Asia and the Pacific, including not only UNEP, SIDA, ADB, Government of Japan, and the Stockholm Environment Institute, SAE. I was looking forward to joining the launching of the adaptation platform and network last October. Unfortunately, Samoa was struck by a tsunami end of September and affected most of our coastal area, where more than 100 lives were lost. We are still recovering, and I thank the international community for their support. And with that support, we have done a lot of reconstruction and rebuilding of those who have been affected. Just last month, we had the pleasure of hosting the Asia Pacific Sub-Regional Environment Policy Dialogue in Samoa, which was inaugurated by our Prime Minister. During that meeting, the issue of adaptation to climate change was a key issue that was highlighted by all the sub-regions of Asia and the Pacific. The Pacific perspectives of the climate change adaptation. Let me provide you with some perspectives from the Pacific. The Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program, SPRED, is currently implementing its Pacific Adaptation to Climate Change project. The PAC, which runs from 2008 to 2012, in 13 Pacific Island countries, with the help of the Global Environment Facility, CHEF, in Samoa. The PAC project aims at reducing the vulnerability to climate change and climate viability and sea level rise in 3 key development sectors. 1, coastal resources. 2, food production and food security. 3, water resources management. The Pacific Adaptation to Climate Change project is already assisting Pacific small island developing states to implement mainstreaming strategy by developing a guide to incorporate climate change into development planning, policy development, national decision making, and budgetary planning processes at all levels. The 3 major components of the PAC include the mainstreaming issue of climate change into the development policies, programs, planning, and budgetary processes of the Pacific Island countries. 2, demonstrations of good adaptation practices, example, options, and measures among selected sites of the Pacific Island countries. And 3, providing technical support and promoting regional cooperation amongst the Pacific Island countries. In my own country, coastal communities are getting their land protected from erosion by sea level rise through PAC activities. We are also now implementing our 4th National Adaptation Program of Action, NAPA 4. Our 4th adaptation project is a significant one because it aims at integrating climate change adaptation into the key sectors of our economy. Our partnership with the Government of Australia has facilitated Samoa's embarkment on mainstreaming climate change adaptation into planning and policy development within the water sector, health, agriculture, spatial planning, tourism, environment conservation, and land management, particularly in the vulnerable coastal areas. At this junction, I would like to report on the key messages from the opening of the CBD COP10, which I attended a couple of days ago. Climate change has been plain as one of the main triggers of the biodiversity loss. Just as well, we are planting a variety of endemic and exotic species in our 1 million tree missions for the current 3 years. Role of adaptation network and platform. In this regard, I am pleased to note the theme that this adaptation forum is going to address in the next 2 days. I have been made aware that you are all going to debate the key ingredients of mainstreaming adaptation, entailing methods, approaches, tools, and techniques that are required in development and planning. On that notion, I look forward to a collective exploration of key adaptation issues such as vertical, horizontal, and cross-sectoral integration of adaptation in the development and planning processes. This is critical, and I sincerely hope that the outcomes of these are going to pave a path and direction in this endeavor that the Pacific will be able to draw upon in its adaptation programs. By this, mainstreaming of adaptation will provide benefits and can be realized without any more delays. I believe that activities under the Asia-Pacific Adaptation Network and Regional Climate Change Adaptation Knowledge Platform are very important, and they also aim at mobilizing knowledge and technology to support capacity building towards developing policies on adaptation action. I am confident that these regional activities will be able to contribute to further development of Pacific Adaptation Network by extending our experience to other regions and vice versa. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I look forward to working together with all the participating organizations and experts toward our common goals. Finally, I would like to conclude my remarks by wishing you all much success in progressing the Adaptation Network and Regional Climate Change Adaptation Knowledge Platform Program of Work for Asia, and with more focus on the Pacific. Kap kun kap.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, highlighting the key features from the Pacific, but one of the critical issues that you have mentioned is the time for action. So with that, I'd like to invite the Vice President of ADB to deliver her keynote presentation. But before that, I'd like to highlight that among the different elements, the success for adaptation has been highlighted as the knowledge, the capacity development, and the resources. So with that 3 key pillars for success, it's my pleasure to invite you, Madam, to deliver your speech.
Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me at the outset join the Minister of Natural Resources and Environment of Samoa to express our sympathy to the people affected by the floods in northern Thailand. Let me furthermore state that it's a great pleasure for me to be here at the Asia-Pacific Adaptation Forum. This forum is a tremendous opportunity to share knowledge and experiences, particularly in the face of one of the world's greatest challenges, that is how to adapt to climate change. Of all the regions in the world, Asia and the Pacific is the most vulnerable to climate change. Since 1960, more people in Asia and the Pacific have been affected by floods, droughts, storms than in any other region. More than 80% of all people affected by these natural disasters were from Asia or Pacific countries. Science predicts that climate change will increase the intensity and frequency of these natural disasters. This could have catastrophic impacts on social welfare and stability. For example, ADB estimates losses of more than 6% of GDP by 2100 for the major Southeast Asian economies due to climate change impacts. These figures remind us all that climate change may undermine the attainment of the Millennium Development Goals and threaten to reverse decades of progress that developing countries have made in reducing poverty. The equity dimensions are even more worrying. Simply put, climate change will make the poor get poorer, hitting hardest those who are the least developed to cope. It is clear that we have to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to mitigate climate change. But science warns us that even without substantial reductions of greenhouse gas emissions, substantial impacts are already unavoidable. So we have no recourse but also to adapt to the changing climate. I believe that successful adaptation will rest on 3 pillars: knowledge, capacity development, and finance. The importance of these 3 pillars is highlighted in the themes of this forum. Let me first touch upon knowledge. Historically, we have designed our infrastructure and prepared for disasters based on the past behavior of the climate. This is no longer possible. We will be required to craft effective responses to climate risks without the benefit of accurate foresight. Dealing with uncertainty is in fact a great challenge. Thus, we have placed a high priority in identifying the changes likely to affect our region. Global climate models can tell us what to expect in very general terms. For example, that we will experience more frequent and more intense storms. This type of information is certainly useful, but only up to a point. Many key adaptation tasks, such as strengthening the resilience of infrastructure to climate change impacts, require more specific knowledge at the local level. The lack of scientifically credible projections of future climate trends at the scale that we require represents a major gap in our knowledge and limits our capacity to design effective adaptation responses. Nevertheless, the scientific community has been able to develop approaches that can provide such projections based on downscaling of global models using regional climate modeling tools. ADB has applied these approaches to Ho Chi Minh City in the Asia Megacities project, a joint initiative with the World Bank and JICA. However, such models require substantial investments in both human resources with specialized knowledge and sophisticated computer modeling tools. This places them beyond the reach of many developing countries. And even where the needed expertise is available, we have often seen that the required analysis conducted on an ad hoc and project-by-project basis, which is an expensive and time-consuming way of reinventing the wheel. However, we can take a different approach by seeing climate projections as a perfect example of a regional public good. When such knowledge products are properly developed, they can find a wide range of applications. And once the modeling has been done, each new application does not incur new costs.